So for my final project, I will be discussing Oscar Wilde's play, The Importance of Being Earnest, and talking about how it is a pretty rich parody. I don't think that we really went over that in class too much. We did hit some areas of the style of play that it is. So I'll be talking about parody and satire, especially in that time era, as well as some of the different literary critics who've talked about this play, and why the importance of being earnest is an important piece in British literature and play work, because it definitely sheds a light on more of the bourgeoisie lifestyles and kind of just the frivolity and all of that. So I will be referencing a scholarly article. Actually, it was written in 1956, but I think it really makes a lot of good points. It's by Richard Foster, and the title of it is Wilde as a Parodist, a second look at the importance of being earnest. So I'll be talking about a lot of that. Also a little bit of Marxism, especially concerning when they get to the countryside and kind of the lifestyle that they're leading. So to start off, I think this quote from the play is really important. It is by one of the main characters, Algernon, one of the artists, and he says, "The truth is rarely pure and never simple. Modern life would be very tedious if it were either, and modern literature a complete impossibility." So with this quote, it really does set the tone of this kind of play. Foster had written that nothing in the play, first of all, is quite what it seems. The characters seem to wear badges of their natures, yet their sentiments and actions continually revoke and deny them. Jack and Algernon, tagged as clever young worldlings, are really sentimentalists at heart. I think that with the quote from the play and then Foster's pretty insightful take on the overall scheme of the play is kind of Wilde poking fun at higher society and these airs and natures that people would take on to fit into some kind of societal demographic. So these are definitely upper middle class, aristocratic people, demographic, and so we're seeing a lot of double lives in this. I think that is very important, especially with the role that Oscar Wilde had. We briefly touched on his personal life, and he was a queer author. He did have homosexual relationships and was even in prison, sent to hard labor for punishment for having a homosexual relationship with a royal family member, higher up family member. I think it's like a duke or something like that. So Wilde is definitely tapping into this time era and the bourgeoisie demographic. Nobody is honest. And so we see that with Jack. He's putting on airs the whole time. He is one person in the city. He's Jack. In the country, in the city, he's Ernest with Gwendolyn, In the country, he is Uncle Jack to Cicely. And then Algernon kind of outs himself pretty clearly to the audience. Like, he overhears Ernest, and he's gonna play on it. He's kind of a rake, and that word rake is very important because Foster brings up another really, really good point. He says that the relationship between Algernon and Cicely is very reflective of the type of relationship between Jane Eyre and Rochester. And so in seeing that, it's this kind of almost predatory type of person picking up on an innocent. And so Wilde's kind of taking that and making more of a parody of it, saying the rake is a fake. Girlish innocence is the bait of a monstrous man trap, and the wages of sin is matrimony. But we also see Wilde break down this character of the rake, which was very popular in British literature at the time. And Algernon is kind of, he gets swept up. He gets very, very emotionally invested in Cicely, and probably because of her uncorrupted country lifestyle and morals, his poor nature is just even more enhanced, but we see him kind of breaking down with it. And there's that sentimentality that comes in again. These men that are liars have these very like sentimental hearts. It's very strange. And then another important thing to talk about is definitely Gwendolen and Cicely, the two female counterparts to Algernon and Jack. And Foster says there is a phenomenon in reverse true of the two girls. Both of them bear the marks of the romantic female. Both are pleased, first of all, to represent themselves as better than their world. Cicely, because she has been preserved and unspoiled due to countrified isolation, and Gwendolen, because she is, in Jack's phrase, a sensible, intellectual girl whose nature has been enriched by heavy reading and brave thinking. So he goes on to say, too, the female is never a stickler for rebellion, yet these rarefied and genteel girls are the worldliest of schemers. These women are a little ruthless when it comes to love. They become a little competitive towards each other, and then they form an alliance. They drag these men through the ringer, deservedly so, to win back their affections, to the point where these men go to the lengths to be christened as earnests as adults. So I think once again this is Oscar falling back on parody of the society that he's living in, is that just the surface level of social norms and desires in this upper class is a little ridiculous to be so tied to a name, even at the end when identities are exposed, that Jack really is an earnest and he is of like a better birth. But all in all, Wilde is satirizing the society that sustains and produces these norms. Foster says, he has given us an oblique perspective on a society's shallowness through direct ridicule of the shallow art in which it sees its reflection. I think this also plays into the Marxist aspect of the importance of being earnest, where Wilde is producing a piece of artwork that is pretty much criticizing and poking fun at the society that he lives in, wrapped and packaged for this society to consume, and the hallmarks of their consumption is in it, be it inexpensive clothing, the amount of eating, gorging that they do, high tea, the types of sandwiches and cookies and cakes that they'll accept. So Wilde just kind of has a no holds barred on his ridicule of the society that he's living in, and that is why the importance of being earnest is a very, very important piece of social parody, especially for this time era. Thank you.